Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology. This week on the Blockchain Show, episode 100 and what? 18. Steve strikes back in a world of Bitcoin maximalists. There is only one place where you can find the Bitcoin minimalists, Steve and Ethan.
Man, I was thinking about the show a lot lately because it's been a while. Just the particular example was expletives, curse words. Should it be a clean show? Should I go back and take out all the naughty words with sound effects?
Fuck no. This is 2019.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I was thinking was because in some countries like India, we're not searchable in iTunes because we're explicit. And
Fuck them.
I don't know. I'm sorry if someone's listening in India and I'm just talking out of my ass here.
Get a lot of mad Indians.
Nah, dude, we don't get any feedback. We just get spam and phishing links.
Is that true?
Pretty much the only people that reach out are PR companies trying to get on the show.
Kind of a bummer. I remember there were always some interesting people. I think Mark and Ian reached out to us, and Cricket Man. And you had on David Noble. He was somebody who just reached out to us. I don't remember if he reached out to be a guest or if they just reached out to say hi. I'm like, hey, come on.
I miss that spirit, I think that was when it was the most fun. And sometimes it's still there, but I feel like lately it's been more about business and shit.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we're not even talking about blockchain anymore. So,
no.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't know. I'm not like an expert like you are.
Yeah, that was one of the things before I took a little break from doing the show. The space had largely gone from, being about changing the world, making the world a better place, to solely being about what the dollar figure of X crypto was, or how to make money, or, helping some new business make money. And I don't find that nearly as interesting as changing the world, making it a better place, or there was so much promise in my mind of what blockchain, what Bitcoin could have been. And I get sad when I see what it has become. I know you had like Tone Bays, and he's kind of like the epitome of the type of people that just kind of are really bad for Bitcoin. They're smart people, right? But like Tone Bays is a trader, so he knows about trading. He doesn't know anything about the technology of it. He knows people who are smart, and they've kind of convinced him of what the technology should do, and he just kind of like goes along with it because he doesn't know any better. I mean, that's my opinion, and I could be wrong, but anybody who looks at the space and go like, I know 100% that Bitcoin is going to be the only thing that makes it out of here and everything else is going to die, just isn't paying attention to technology. They're buying into like a tribe. They're buying into they've been sold a place to belong, and I think that's good. But I don't think it's nearly as good as what Bitcoin could have been.
Yeah, there was a narrative change somewhere along the way. I didn't quite catch it. Maybe we would have been on the right side if you were still doing more of the weekly thing like we used to.
Because I know we had some donations back in 16 and 17, but
bro, all those donations stopped after you left. I started doing stuff through PayPal, which kind of feels wrong.
Yeah, but I mean,
but what can you do? We were getting crypto, and I needed gas. And we'd go to. I went to one time we had like a van full of children, and we tried to get money out of a Bitcoin ATM, only to find out after logging in and setting up an account that it was a deposit only.
Yeah, most are deposit only.
Yeah, we didn't know that. We were just naive, and this is like the early days.
Yeah, most charge an 8% fee too. So if you need to buy or sell crypto, a good way to just go to like a local meetup or whatever. You'll find somebody there who's willing to buy or sell, and there's always a group of people, so you're unlikely to get robbed or whatever. Then local Bitcoins is also a good place. You can kind of go on local Bitcoins, and I don't know if you can still do that. So that's good. The show's doing well, huh? Left it in good hands.
It's a fun project that will hopefully lead people to something better than before they listened. In terms of audio quality, there's a few really bad, like Skype call type grainy sounds. There's just some stupid content. Me talking about stuff that belongs nowhere. I don't know. Maybe like going back and changing some old ads, just kind of having like a uniformity to the sound levels across all the episodes, better show note links.
I mean, and also it's got to be tough though to look back with your eyes now. But part of it is, part of the show was the fact that we weren't super polished. I mean, that's part of podcasting is not being like, if you want super polished, turn on the fucking radio.
Yeah,
you hear that, Indians?
Yeah, maybe a few. You just got to change your proxy setting, India.
I mean, if you really want to get our show in India and just go through one of those VPNs or whatever. Most VPNs take crypto.
What does VPN stand for?
I don't know if I'm reading that right, but virtual private network.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe VPN, isn't it? So if you're someplace where you can't get, if you're in America and you want to watch Canadian TV and they don't let you because you can see your IP is from the States, you can use a VPN and it masks your IP address to say, like, okay, well, I'm actually from Canada, so now I can watch BBC Canada. Or if you want to watch podcasts with fucking swears in it and you're in India, well, you can get a VPN.
I'm gonna have to put like a duck sound over that or something.
Why?
Just to annoy you. I don't know. I talked to the CEO of Minds.com, and I just saw him on Joe Rogan's podcast. And
oh, yeah?
It's cool, man. He talked on his show for like 2.5 hours. I think I would have made it maybe like 15 minutes. Did you see that one? And did you see the Jack Dorsey and Tim Pool?
I did watch the Jack Dorsey one because he was on Sam Harris around the same time, and Sam Harris kind of referenced a Joe Rogan thing, and Jack Dorsey has the Cash App. I don't know what's wrong with Jack Dorsey and why he's so obsessed with Bitcoin. I just don't get it. I mean, he owns what, PayPal and Twitter?
Oh, Square. I think you mean Square.
Oh, yeah, Square. That's what I meant. He owns Square, or he's CEO of Square, and as well as... and it's funny to me because Bitcoin used to be this amazing technology that had potential. And now I look at it, and it doesn't have any potential whatsoever. It's not an interesting technology anymore. It's something that I will never use again, right? And I was somebody who created a podcast to try to spread the word about how great this technology is. And it has changed so rapidly that I will never use it again. So I wonder why people like Jack Dorsey are so into it when they could have been into it before. Like, what do they like the fact that they can make a lot more money? Like, they can be the intermediary. Blockchain was supposed to disintermediate things. And now you have Jack Dorsey who's like, oh, well, now Bitcoin is in such a shape where I can kind of like use the Cash App and, re-intermediate Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has now developed in such a way that it put all the intermediaries back in it. With Lightning Network, there'll be hubs, Lightning hubs. And so it went from being this great intermediator where you would remove middleman from it. And now, like, oh, wait, they've changed the code of it, and guys like Jack Dorsey can reinsert themselves into it and make some money off of it. Square can make money off a Bitcoin transaction. Heck yeah. And so I look at Jack Dorsey as somebody who has been part of the overtaking of Bitcoin and making it something that's crappy.
I heard a theory that he's just part of a pump and dump scheme with Joe Rogan and other influential people to get a lot of gullible people to buy a lot of Bitcoin, make it go up in value very much, and then, we all saw what happened. Some people think a whale came in and dumped a shitload of Bitcoin and caused the price to drop last year or 2 years ago.
It's so tough because price is it's one of those, it's the elephant in the room that is interesting, right? But it doesn't matter. Like, the day-to-day price of Bitcoin doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a technology that people can use to prevent governments from stealing some of your income. it can prevent banks from forcing you to pay them to transact. It allows me to pay you without anybody else getting involved. It doesn't matter whether one of those notes is worth $20,000 or one of those is worth $5,000. You can do that no matter what. But you still have this price thing, and everybody wants to talk about it. I try my best not to pay any attention to price.
I think it's because people don't really understand it, and they understand a dollar sign. So if you can assign a dollar sign value to it, in their minds, they can start to conceptualize, okay, something's going on here. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that the irony is that it's become the very thing that it was trying to become a solution to. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this theory was that some people thought that Jack Dorsey and other individuals were part of this giant pump and dump scheme, and they're really just, exploiting people's ignorance. Making Bitcoin the only option on the Cash App makes it seem like this is the one that's going to be the one. We've had Tone Vase on who said that Bitcoin is the only blockchain, or I don't remember what he said. But
he's a Bitcoin maximalist. I mean, it's just, and so is Jack Dorsey. And there's a bunch of people like that who just, for some odd reason, you had on the guy from Airbits, what was his name? Paul Pouet. He was like, yeah, there'll probably be 3 or 4 left over.
Yes, Edge now.
Edge, yeah. There's a large majority of crypto people, I would say maybe 60 to 7% of them now, that just think that Bitcoin is the only thing that's going to be worth anything, and everything else is going to go to zero and it'll be the only thing worth money. And I think Jack Dorsey is somebody who believes that. And to be honest, it's the only one he can make money off of. So why wouldn't he at least believe that? As far as pump and dumps go, do they happen in crypto? They happen all the time. It's a very scammy place to be right now in crypto. There's very little liquidity. Did you hear about what's happening with Tether now? So Tether has always been this, from my perspective, this Titanic that is going to blow up. All the major exchanges use it as their United States currency peg. So, when you go to Binance or whatever and you do a Bitcoin to USD transaction, you're actually getting Tether for it. USD Tether, so it's a stable coin. And for 5 years or whatever, Tether has been saying that everything is backed by $1. So if there's a $1 worth of Tether, then there is $1 in a bank account somewhere. Now, Tether this week has come out, and everybody who has been skeptical with a skeptical eye of these things has looked at Tether as clearly something is running a fractional reserve where they don't actually have the full amount of USD that they say that they have. And they finally admitted that they do loan it out to their partners. And Tether is a partner with Bitfinex and that crew of people. To say that for a company to swear up and down that no, every single Tether is backed by $1 in an account that we control over and over again, to saying, actually, we do loan out those Tethers. We loan out the US dollars to partners. And they don't tell you who the partners are. It could be, they loan it out to Jack Dorsey for whatever Cash App development he needs. I don't know if that's probably not what's happening, but they could loan it out to crypto miners. You don't know who they're loaning it to. They don't disclose that. If they make the wrong loan and the loan defaults, then they don't have the money to pay the Tethers back. And that's the thing. And so there's manipulation going on. Even the sites that are well known like Tether and well trusted like Quadra CX or whatever is a Canadian exchange, I think their CEO stole whatever it was, the $170 million worth of crypto. That happened last week. Jack Dorsey doing a pump and dump scheme, I think, is the least of the worries. I think he's overtaking the cryptocurrency. He sees it as he can jump in as an intermediary, get in the middle of it, get a cut of when people on the Cash App, people on Twitter, pay other people on Twitter. And I mean, Facebook is getting in the game too. If Facebook actually makes a Facebook cryptocurrency, which they're planning on doing, it's immediately going to be number 2 at the minimum. It might immediately be number 1. I mean, That's going to be a huge in market cap. Not in, I mean, it's not a very interesting concept. It's virtually no different than Venmo or Zelle, which are great. But in a lot of countries in the world, people don't think of internet. They equate internet with Facebook. When they go and buy a new phone or whatever, the phone carrier says, oh, yeah, and you get free internet with this phone. Well, their internet is Facebook. That's literally the internet. So Facebook, subsidizes it. So that's the people, and that's a huge market that now has access to financial system because it's on their phone that they get, included with their data plan basically for free. So this will be a huge deal when it happens and if it happens, and it'll immediately be in market cap, guaranteed number 2, maybe number 1. And that's, I think, what Jack Dorsey wants to do with Bitcoin. He can see that he can kind of get in the middle and make a buck here too. Maybe he did a pump and dump, but I mean, pump and dumps do happen. Don't get me wrong, they happen all the time.
I should just state that I heard this theory on Robert Phoenix's podcast. So every time I bring up Robert Phoenix on this podcast, I get some shit. But I like him. I like his point of view. Sometimes he says some really interesting things that kind of take me to different areas of thought that I never would have entertained had I not listened. He came on back like November 2016 or 17. No, it would have been 17. And that episode did really well in Asia for some reason. The astrology. Yeah, man. It's sometimes it's interesting to me to listen to people who are outside of the crypto space, and sometimes I really should preface I am outside, but people who are further outside just kind of hear their perspective of what they think is going on. It's interesting to me because it's kind of like watching a commercial and seeing what the advertisers think people want. You know what I mean? You can kind of gauge where we're at as a society if this is what the advertisers are trying to sell. Because a lot of this stuff is behind the scenes. Like, we don't know what's going on at Twitter or Facebook. This is all closed source, proprietary software. It's taking over the world. It's global in scale. They're unelected tech companies that are basically all in a left-leaning part of California that kind of suffer from monoculturalism. I really recommend listening to that follow-up episode with Jack Dorsey and Tim Pool. Man, Tim Pool is a heck of a guy. At the end of it was almost a 4-hour podcast. He said, you know what? You guys have too much power and you terrify me, and I don't think anything's going to change. And that's what he said. I'm like, all right, goodbye.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case with these companies. And we just, as a species, we're not equipped to deal with it. We either will figure out some way to handle it, or I don't even know. I mean, that's something I like to speculate about, things that I have a good basis of understanding, and just what's going to happen based on these large tech companies. I don't know if I'm qualified to speculate. I told you what Heather was trying to do, right? She would reach out to different blockchain news companies out there, like CoinDesk, and I don't know, there's a bunch of them that she reached out to try to get certain things as a promoter of whatever she was working. I think the Marquette Blockchain Lab or something, like, hey, this is something you might be interested. Who do I contact? And it was very clearly like, oh, you want us to publish this in our paper, in our website? It costs 1 Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like $12,000. Like, it is disgusting the way these blockchain news sites operate. I mean, disgusting isn't the right word, but what's the right word?
It's not genuine, dude, and that's the risk of where this show was going, man. And that's why I kind of, what I wanted to make clear today is that I don't want this show to be a pay for play kind of thing. So I want to be very transparent. Just kind of tell people how we got here. It's really not that lucrative.
What was worse for me is, before I largely stopped doing it, I was getting a lot of interviews with, ICO people and whatever. And, I wasn't even being paid to do it. That's what the show became. That's who wanted to talk. And it was cool for a little bit, but I just got overwhelmed with the sales pitchiness of things. And don't get me wrong, some of them were great, but that definitely burnt me out. And it's just not something that I want to do ever.
Yeah, man, I think we were just kind of learning, kind of growing as we went. You asked me earlier in a text, like, what do you want to do? And I think I just want to, keep getting the word out. But kind of get back to the roots of the show and have conversations with some genuine people, are on the right side of the blockchain.
Yeah, well, I'd like to join you, but I have a different viewpoint than most people about a lot of things. And I don't mind listening to other viewpoints, but, I think Bitcoin sucks, right? I think it's a terrible piece of junk, and I think it's a waste. I think it's sad. I think there's other cryptos that have a shot, but, I'm worried that because Bitcoin failed so miserably in my mind, that it doesn't leave much hope. Because most people don't care about sovereign money. That's not the top priority for anybody. And there's probably a good reason for that. It's not my top priority, but it's just something that is super important for cryptocurrency. Because if you have a third party regulating your stuff, like a government or a Facebook, Facebook's coming out with their own thing, or Twitter with Cash App or whomever, right? Then what's the point, right? So it kind of defeats the main purpose of cryptocurrency. Now, blockchain, on the other hand, that's a different ballgame. It's kind of like, you hear that old thing, like there was internet versus intranet. You have internet, which is going to change the world, and intranet, just like in your, within your own company, you can kind of like share stuff. It's still an interesting thing where you can do a wiki within your own organization or an internal websites, and those are still like legitimate business use cases, and blockchain will do that. And maybe there will be some public-private chains which might be interesting, but that needs to be seen. I guess I am somebody who is against Bitcoin.
I appreciate your viewpoint, because Bitcoin's never done anything for me, really. So, and it's cool to talk to you again, man. I think that, a big reason why I wanted to do the podcast with you is just because I enjoy talking to you about this stuff. And, I do appreciate your viewpoint on these things. I don't know how you do it, but
I find it interesting. And I think, like with most people, if you find something interesting, then you can learn about it. It's tough.
I meant to ask you about Ethereum.
Yeah.
What do you think about Ethereum? Is it because we were going to call this show the Ether, Ethan, and Steve.
we really should have. I think we really missed the boat. We had talked about it. We said like, what if Ether isn't the best one, and they become something else? There was something that I was certain of when we first started the show, that Bitcoin or something else like it is going to be a huge part of the future, right? It's going to be like the number 4 or greater by market cap currency in the world. And I'm still positive that that's going to happen. And I was pretty certain in 2016 that was going to be Ethereum. Ethereum by itself still has more developers working on it. Not still, but now has more developers working on it than all other blockchains, public cryptocurrencies, not other blockchains, but public cryptocurrencies combined. It is a massive brain where most of the talent within the space is going. And that makes it like a hard, where I would place bets of what's going to be the future. But with what happened to Bitcoin, it makes me worry that people just don't give a shit that much about decentralization. They don't care. They want to make $1. They want to make $1 now. And if that makes them lose $10 in the future, nobody thinks that far ahead. As some people do, but the people who do end up selling, the $2 to you now, so they can so they can take $10 from you later, like Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I'll give you free internet now, provided you, use Facebook exclusively, call it the internet, and use my face bucks, my face cryptos. So yeah, people who think about it insert themselves into the system, and people who don't get fleeced.
I think that most people don't really know this stuff as well as you do. And how many people just get scammed by regular fucking bullshit scams? Like there's a lot of just, not everybody's intelligent, and it's hard to be on the cutting edge and know, which way the wind's going to blow. I kind of, when you were describing it, what I would call the crypto industry, I don't know. What do you call it? Like consensus type, whoever makes these decisions, it's kind of like almost like Hollywood, or the industry as they call it. It kind of moves like with the wind, is whatever's popular.
Yeah.
It's there's no real. The money goes wherever more money will be. People want to get richer, and I think that the people with power and influence are going to be more able to change things. Bitcoin changed. Remember, people used to wear hats that said "Make Bitcoin Great Again." It became more and more central. It's not. I don't really. Is it even decentralized anymore? I mean.
The development team is centralized into like 6 people, 1 company, Blockstream, basically, more or less. There's Nchain and Lightning Labs, and Nchain is actually working on Bitcoin SV or whatever, Satoshi's vision. But they kind of play the same tune. So, but I think the network, the miners, is still largely decentralized. You can consider it still a network of decentral peer-to-peer nodes. Lightning Network will be 100% decentralized if it scales, if it ever gets to scale. But the development of Bitcoin is basically like 6 people, you would say, and they're all employed by. Well, not all of them. It's tough to precisely spell it out because they don't really somebody's a contractor and they keep it a secret, like Luke Jr., is a developer on Bitcoin and he kind of gets paid to do contracting work for Blockstream. But it's largely, centralized under one company, Blockstream.
Yeah.
So the development centralized, the mining is still largely decentralized. And it's blockchain is a trade-off between security, centralization, and its speed. Is that the third spoke of that? You can't have the more if you have a centralized team of developers, right, that makes it very easy to get your changes going, and some of that just kind of happens naturally, where some of the smartest people go out and want to build their own thing.
Man, when AI learns how to code, we're all fucked.
So that's like such an interesting thing. Like,
yeah, if it learns to code, because code is law on the internet. That's an old saying from I think early days of the internet engineers.
We never finished is Ethereum. I don't think I ever finished the Ethereum. Yeah, we totally should have named it Ethereum. It would have been a lot better for us because I think Ethereum is still the best one out there.
Yeah, maybe. I think you did. You nailed the buzzword. Blockchain has kind of become a buzzword.
Oh yeah, I totally nailed that one. But the problem is that blockchain is just kind of like a bunch of douches who just want to make $1. Like, it's I don't know. It's kind of all it is.
I think they've got most of the advertising.
What do you mean by that?
I think they got the advertising money, and we see a lot of douchebags.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how many times do you drive by and see like terrible movie posters or TV shows, and you're like, why would anybody watch that? But it's everywhere. It's because they got all the advertising money. But like the good shit, the good podcasts, the stuff that people actually want to watch, not that advertised. Not always true.
Right.
Not always true. It's just, it seems like there's a disproportionate amount of money, like venture capitalism, that are trying to hit that next big thing, and it kind of spills out. Sometimes you see like some douchebags pushing blockchain, and it's gross. Don't get me wrong. And we live in a country where people are trying to make money, and there's nothing wrong with making money, but there's a problem with money filtering to the top.
Right.
Rampant capitalism has some really ugly problems. Do you think we would have scams if we didn't have, if money was different? I think that we need a new paradigm. Just like money. We're all caught up talking about money and the value of these different blockchains, but that's not the fucking point. Like what you're saying. It's like, why don't we actually try to use this stuff to help each other out instead of...
I know so many people who talk about the price incessantly and talk about blockchain this and Bitcoin, and they have never used it. They have never, they don't have a wallet. They have bought the stupid thing on Coinbase, right? Or whomever, and just let it sit there. That's all they do with it. Like, this is the huge...
The hodl.
The hodl, right? This is what people think blockchain is. It's like, oh, I take my USD, I buy it on an exchange, I leave my coins there in this third party with third-party risk because somebody could run off. It's not my crypto, and I just let it sit there. And then at some point in the future, when it's gone up in value, I sell it to some other sucker who's going to do the same thing, and that is a horrible, horrible state. And I think that happens a lot. And it's fine. You need people like that too. But I wish there were more people experimenting with it and doing cool things with it. Part of the problem was why I think Bitcoin has turned into crap was they kind of neutered all the people who were doing that with a 1 megabyte block size. There was places like Steam. You know what Steam is?
Yeah, we talked
Gaming
about
platform.
it. Yeah.
Oh, we did?
A while
you
back.
And I?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing Bitcoin payments, and because of the slow speed and high fees of the network. And Steam is great for blockchain, for Bitcoin payments, for crypto payments, because it's gamers are basically 15 to 30-year-old men or males. Is that about right?
Yeah.
And 15 to 18-year-old males typically don't have credit cards. So it's a pretty good, it's a pretty good, they can maybe get, Bitcoin versus a credit card and buy games with it.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
So it was a really good thing, but they changed what Bitcoin was from a peer-to-peer payment system to a layer 1. And so, places like Steam had to or left the space. Rightfully so, because anyways, I want to get back on history. You should maybe do a history podcast.
I like history, but I don't know enough. I get too conspiratorial. I like the stuff that, it's like the saying, who controls the past controls the future, who controls the future, or who controls the present controls the past, like a George Orwell quote. I think we live in a time where there's an illusion of information. We think that what we put on the internet is going to last forever, but like what we saw with our website, one little domain goes down, it's gone. Censorship it's happening. It works.
A lot of it was on archive.org, but
okay, that's cool. Well, I like stuff like that, man. I think they're open source too. Maybe not. And I'd like to have more like solidarity with this community that we've kind of started here. And I'd like, I want to start using more open source programs. I want to have more transparency with our guests, anybody that contributes. I want to have like a way to show who I don't know what that would look like. Sometimes like on Patreon, you can list your name if you donate money. I'm not saying we're going to be a big, cash cow or anything like that, but if it'd be cool to have the operability. Our website's kind of basic, to be honest. Maybe I should just give up on that.
I mean, it does what it does.
I lost my train of thought. Bitcoin is just code. Like it can be copied. And
oh yeah, it's copied.
Is Bitcoin open source or not? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's open source. So it's
I mean, it's not. I think people just like it's a romantic notion that the first one is going to be the one and only one, but the future is going to be multi-dimensional, man. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I think it's just kind of fun to comment on it, and I hope that people have gotten a certain amount or maybe some small amount of value out of our conversations. And
it's weird that I was listening to the gun guy, David Noble, who's now the clear gun guy. Listen to that episode again, and it's funny how like little I knew at that time, right? How little we all knew at that time regarding blockchain. But our show, I think, really helped a lot of people who were also struggling with it, because it's very difficult stuff. It was very difficult stuff. And right now it's very difficult stuff too. I mean, if you just want to go make it easy, you think Bitcoin is going to be the one and only thing that's worth anything. But it's difficult to actually look at it like, is it really? It's not. I mean, it's going down. It's not going up. It's so what else? What else could it be? Could it be Bitcoin Cash? Maybe, maybe not. Could it be Dash? Could it be you had a Dash Neptune on? Maybe. Is it Facebook Coin? Is that our future? Right? Maybe.
Can you imagine if we had on someone from Facebook?
Yeah, it'd probably be great. I talked to the guys from Deloitte. I mean,
it's true.
They seem like good people. Yeah, I would like to talk to somebody from Facebook who's doing the blockchain stuff.
We had someone from IBM that kind of fell through, but
oh, did it?
IBM wanted to talk to us. It's kind of funny when people like think that I'm important.
No, you are though. I mean, you're the show in my mind. You're behind the scenes.
I'm just the guy that publishes the episodes, man.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. We definitely need to do some more podcasts.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the waveform. I did a lot of talking.
You can tell just by the waveform.
You did more, but that's appropriate. I think you know what you're talking about. If anything, I just kind of throw left little like chinks in here and there, and got to play the devil's advocate every once in a while.
Is that true? Do you sometimes say things that you don't believe in just to play devil's advocate, or is it always?
Oh no, I think it's really important to not get too married to an idea. You know what I mean? I think some of the biggest mistakes in my life, I've just been too, let my ego take over my identity of my thoughts. When you get down to the nature of thoughts, they're kind of slippery and elusive. And I'm trying lately, deliberately, to have multiple viewpoints. I'm just trying to keep more of an open mind, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never met anybody who has said something like that. That doesn't mean like I just believe in nonsense.
I just think consciousness in general is not what we think it is. You know what I mean? You
listen to Sam Harris at all or no?
I haven't listened to him in a while. I should.
Right. He talks a lot about consciousness, and he's one of the only atheist type scientists that I listen to or research that also is, a practicing meditator who just kind of schools everybody else in the community about how mindfulness works and how consciousness works and the mistakes we're making. And we're kind of all, in his perspective, kind of all mistaken about the type of thing that we are. And that's just, a lesson that, the Eastern mystics have kind of narrowed down that people all over the world don't really realize. And it's such a unique and interesting perspective to kind of put consciousness in this. It's very fleeting. If you are trained and you look to see exactly what's there, it kind of disappears. It's an interesting. And, we have no idea what it actually is. We try to reduce it to brain, but we don't quite. There's no. It's such a fascinating thing that we are kind of clueless at this time about. Are you familiar with the IRA stuff that Russia does or no?
Dude, it's such a mystery to me. I mean,
no, they have buildings that's called IRA. It's what was it called? The Internet Research Agency or whatever. And this is a real thing. And people, have a job where they go in there and their job is to create stories that they then share on Facebook that sow dissent in American countries. So they do like,
oh, dude, and it fucking works too. That's what's gross. The algorithms, they can just hijack that shit and
they're great at it.
Facebook, they're assholes, man. They know it depresses people, but they intentionally put things in their feed that causes them a negative reaction so that it'll keep their eyeballs on it.
Yeah, and Facebook doesn't care because they just want to make the eyeballs with the ads. So they're complicit in creating a system that is outraging people, and then people form tribes and they surround themselves with people that only have the same viewpoint. And so I think it's really great that you are trying to find people who have other viewpoints.
It's tough to know until after the fact. I'm guilty of putting up episodes and finding out later that, maybe I should have done a little bit more research, but the only episode.
Which episode is that?
There was one like Matt Carani or something like Matt. It was like
Matt Corelli? No, what's his name? Oh, Swarm City guy?
Yeah. Somebody had posted in the YouTube comments about how it was a scam and how they lost some money. And I don't know if that's true.
By the time Matt got into Swarm, so Swarm was one of those ones that we had mentioned it being a scam. Like we had on, remember it was like the taxi service first, where the guy who had two first names or whatever.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah, that was Swarm City, and then they changed. It was like Arcade City, and yeah. So
that makes so much more sense now.
So we knew that it was a scam, and then it kind of scam. It was like there was this guy who was really bad at executing, and maybe thought that he was onto an idea and was just going to go with it. Have you seen that the Fire Festival thing?
I haven't seen it. No.
Maybe it was just kind of like that, where he thought he was going to be like the next big thing, and so he created a small little taxi thing, but he didn't deliver on any of his promises, and he kind of like took a bunch of money and then it kind of got like taken away from him and bought out and put into the hands of people that are a little more capable, and it became Swarm City. So maybe that's what he was referring to. It was well known that it was likely scam-ish. At best, it was a really poor execution.
I just remember I was really drunk when I recorded the intro. No, that's interesting, man. I remember. It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, those were the days where things were happening.
Maybe we're just outside of the action. Maybe it's moved on without us.
No, I mean, it's all coming back now. This is a good time to get back in it.
You got people like Jack Dorsey talking about how there may be a blockchain version of Twitter in the future that they need to prepare for.
Yeah, I mean, people don't care. They don't care about a self-sovereign version of Twitter, a self-sovereign version of a Facebook. Facebook is going to put ads in front of people, and it's going to be better, right, than the self-sovereign version. You probably could maybe get like a...
I feel like the right people don't care. You know, if you can convince the right people to care, then everybody else will do it. You know what I mean? Movements always start out with like people asking.
First they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then they join you or something. It's a different one, but...
That's pretty much it. Yeah, man. I definitely don't want to put content out there that is bullshit. And
yeah,
remember that clip with Andreas Antonopoulos talking about blockchain versus bullshit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Andreas Antonopoulos too. I don't know if he is batting 1,000% anymore either. So, a lot of that was that all of the blockchain stuff is actually bullshit. The only thing that is not bullshit is Bitcoin. And I don't know if he's right there. For a while there, he was saying, anything that is open peer-to-peer, is Bitcoin. And again, I get his point. If it's just, IBM sharing records with each other, it's not as groundbreaking, but it's still an interesting thing to me. I think blockchain that isn't, full peer-to-peer, 100% decentralized is still an interesting thing. It's still like can revolutionize an industry or two, right? So I don't know if I agree with him on that one. I think that he's a little too tribal. But the problem is that there is a lot of bullshit. So how do you call out all the bullshit without saying that the proverbial bathwatered baby? Because most of it is bullshit. Most of it, yeah, sure. Most of the stuff is bullshit. Most of the just trying to separate a fool from his money, I guess. It's a tough space. It really is, and anybody who can bat above 50% is doing a pretty good service. There's few and far between people who can do it. Andreas can, and Imen Guncier does, and there's more. But it's a hard space to get right because it's just there's like maybe 7 different fields: computer science, economics, psychology. I don't even know. I'm pretty good at a few of them, but I'm not great at economics. I'm not good at markets, free markets. There's just the history of money. There's just so much. There's a lot of different things that are involved in it that you have to be good at. And most people are specialists, They know one thing. They know markets, or they know computer science, or they know economics, but they don't have the knowledge required of the different fields to kind of really grasp what's going on. And it's it's just really tough. So I think my prognostication is done fairly well. I'm certain I didn't bet 100%, but
yeah, man, it was good. And I think that's the whole reason we kind of would bring on guests originally, was to try to get that outside, experts take on it. Kind of like to get back to that place. Hopefully there's still those people out there.
Who was your favorite guest so far? Mine are definitely either the academics that we had on. They're just more interesting people. They're not there pitching or selling an idea, which is fine and great, but they're just there to talk about ideas, and I find that way more interesting than they're academics. So they're trained in like listening and talking, and they have a lot of experience in weighing ideas and talking about each idea's merit and whether this idea or that idea holds more weight while still giving the idea its due understanding or due diligence or whatever. So those are always, I think, my favorite guests.
Yeah, I got to get more of those.
They
people.
don't have PR people to send
Right.
you.
Right.
Emails.
That's why I kind of want to like separate the two. Maybe have a spot on our website where it's like
Sponsored content or
sponsored content or like blockchain, not spotlight, but like, business and blockchain series.
Yeah.
And, people know like, here's where this is sponsored content. We have, it costs money to make these episodes in time. And basically we just need to find a way to monetize the show and not lose the integrity that I feel still there. Hopefully the audience can forgive those handful of guests that were probably unworthy of, well, not unworthy. Everybody's worthy of.
I don't even know what guests you're talking about, so I have no idea.
I don't either. That's a problem. But I just got this nagging feeling that there's a few that slipped in there that probably did not have the best of intentions.
Are you talking about Patientory?
No, honestly, I thought was that with Carissa or Chrissa?
Yeah, that's one that I'm just like, just somebody who heard a buzzword, doesn't really know much about the space, and probably went to zero. I haven't even looked at it, but just like one of those that after the fact you realize, sounds like a great idea, but not going to be good execution. Yeah, Patientory still is worth a set and a half. Let's see, and at its peak was 70 cents. So I wonder when we did our show. Yeah, now it's worth a set and a half. It's one of those that really seemed like was not going to produce anything of value and was just going to take your money. But you never know with these things. I mean, people get better. If you gauged everybody about the first time that they, did an interview, it's probably not wise. I mean, it's cool that I don't even know what I have to say. Nothing. Yeah, so the show is just now going to be me talking. Me and Ethan. Nobody else is going to come on anymore.
No Carissa McFarlane? Or whatever?
No Seth MacFarlane. No Krista Flockhart. No, we're not going to have any more guests. What do you think? Just me and you.
Are you just like tapping your desk maniacally? But then it would be probably a lot of me just reading emails again.
That was a good episode. I like that you tried it, man. You went for it.
I think that's when I learned about FaceCoin.
The
Face coin. Of course Facebook's going to fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if they would. I mean, do you think is that a fuck up? I mean, that's a genius.
No, I think that they're going to. I think that they will. I think it's going to become like Walmart of crypto.
Yeah.
It's going to be disgusting somehow.
Yeah.
But yet strangely available and there if you need it.
What if it's not? What if they do like an amazing job and it's everything? It's just like, yeah, here's just, it's great for us because our advertisers now have a way to pay us. And we don't take any money off of it because we make money selling everybody else's everything else, What if it's great? What if Facebook coin is the best cryptocurrency ever made?
Then
what?
Then I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Are you sure? Do you hate corporations that much?
I do.
You do?
I mean, I really do because they answer to no one. And they only look at them historically. They weren't even supposed to be around for more than like 50 years.
Right.
They've passed their use. We survived the wars. We don't need corporations anymore. They've become the new
nation state
tyrants, man. Yeah, nation state. They would not be beholden to governments anymore.
Multi-global corporations are who's in charge. Yeah. But no, I mean, but if they made a good crypto, I mean, despite the fact of all the other stuff that they do, if they made a good crypto that really helped the world, provide financial services to all the people who are impoverished, and so nobody provides them with financial services, wouldn't that be great?
I think it would be great, but I just don't trust that company, and I don't think many people do. And I think that there would eventually be. I think that there's an ulterior motive there, and I don't know. That's probably not fair for me to say, but
no,
these things rely on trust, and I don't think I would I don't even like giving Facebook access to my microphone, man.
Yeah.
I don't like talking to my family on it, but that's what they like to do. And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because you use Facebook.
Yeah. How do you expect people to give a crap about cryptocurrency when they use Facebook to communicate talking?
I think that most people are just trying to live their lives. And I think a lot of people are struggling right now. I think it's really hard for people to care about anything other than their basic needs being met. You know, the old systems are trying to be propped up by old means, and we live in a different age that I just don't see it as sustainable.
I simply have no idea. Like, it's so, like, could it just keep going? Have we moved past the production, the boom and bust cycles, and hey, we can just create our own value. We'll have crypto coins, and everybody will trade mines or whatever they are for their solar coin, and the computers, AI kind of does all the hard work that nobody else wants to do, and everybody's free to do whatever they want because there's so much wealth being generated. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's going to go one of the two ways.
Well, it's up to the developers, man, and it's whoever's paying the developers. I can't do it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the answer is. People vote by what apps they sign in each day, I guess. I think there should be some solidarity in using open source technology. The fact that Facebook is not open source scares me. I don't like that. They're for profit, and they sell people's information, and they spy on us, they surveil us. They don't love us. That's the fact. They don't.
Right.
Not all of us. I mean, I think that there needs the people who care, and they're out there. I think they need to organize around a principle of open source technology and internet freedom. I know that that's not perfect, but there needs to.
It's not going to happen, but I hope it does.
Well, if it's going to happen, it has to happen now.
The Bitcoin Minimalists. Steve and Ethan. Only here on the Blockchain Show.